Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you present for today's special webinar that we have for GRE Verbal. So, welcome to this exclusive session where our host is going to help you with the GRE Verbal question types that you will be facing. But before we start with the session, a lot of you are new to Galvanize, and so we would quickly like to help you understand who we are and what exactly we do. Galvanize Global Education is actually founded and managed by alumni from top universities like Stanford, Harvard, IIT Madras, and IIM Ahmedabad. And what we do, we help students right from their basic test preparations for GRE, SAT, IELTS, TOEFL. Not only that, we have a team of experts helping students out there for their admission process for bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degree. Admission process indeed is a very big process and a very, I would say, tedious process as well. But Galvanize will help you at each step, right from selecting the right university as per your profile, your requirement, your interest, to helping you clear the visa process and the last minute assistance, where we help you with helping you provide with the right loan providers or courier services, foreign exchange, insurance, and many more such activities out there. We are very happy to share that Galvanize Global Education, if you see, we have helped our students get placed around 1,000+ universities across 18+ countries out there. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you would be seeing your dream destination on screen right now. And Galvanize will help you at each step to reach your dream destination out there. These are some of the specializations where we have helped our students get placed. So in case you want to change your specialization, do not worry, do not hesitate, don't get tensed. Galvanize will help you at that step as well. And not to forget, we are very happy to share that, students across the globe have chosen Galvanize in their journey of higher education out there. It can be right from preparing for the test preparations to moving towards, your admission counseling process. Galvanize has helped students reach their dream destination. And this is a very famous thread on Quora, and I'm for sure going to share this on the chat box. I won't talk here much, but I would request you to take a look at the reviews that students have shared with respect to their experience with Galvanize, may it be test prep or the admission counseling part out there. So please do take time and check the reviews. And yes, of course, you could also see the applications that we have for GRE, vocabulary, and SAT. And we will be sharing those links as well in case you haven't used our amazing gamified vocabulary application or GRE or SAT out there. About your host for today's webinar, so we have with us Sowmya Bai, who is the senior verbal expert at Galvanize Global Education. She's Cambridge CLTA certified trainer who has experience teaching and training learners from diverse linguistic backgrounds out there. She has facilitated IELTS test preparations and English fluency enhancement by creating materials for multi-level ESL classes that encompasses a range of skill building lessons that include listening, reading, writing, and speaking, of course. And she takes the efforts to understand her students and wants and their needs, and also has helped a lot of students make GRE Verbal a fun, interesting, and informative, I would say, guidance for their test preparations out there. And yes, this is something very exciting, I would say. And for this, you need to be there throughout the session. So what is this all about? So during this session, we are going to come up with a lot of quizzes for you. And any student out there, who participates in this quiz and who is very quick, prompt, and most consistent participant will be eligible for a discount voucher of $50 on the ETS GRE registration fee. Yes, of course, the actual ETS GRE registration fee. So don't miss this chance. Do attend the session and of course, do participate in the quiz as well. And not to forget, today's attendees will also be getting the GRE crash course at the lowest price. And we will be sharing this code in the upcoming slides. And also, the code is valid for next 1 hour only. So please make use of this opportunity once the session is done out there. And it's time for our first poll before we start with the actual course there. And the poll goes, please describe the stage you are in with your GRE test right now. So here are some of the options. Okay, I think we can end the poll now, and most of them are preparing for the test. A couple of them are thinking to take the test, and a lot of them have booked the test. So great, thank you for this feedback. And now, without any further delay, I would request Sowmya to start with the session.
All right. Hello, everyone. So in this webinar, you'll get a brief overview of the different question types in the GRE verbal section and also strategies to solve those questions. All right. So a quick look at the structure or pattern of the current verbal section in the GRE test. So the score range is between 130 and 170, and you have two sections in the verbal reasoning part. And each section will be for 30 minutes, and each section will consist of 20 questions. This is the current pattern of the GRE verbal reasoning section. To know about the enhancements in the GRE test, you can stay tuned, and I'll be letting you know about the enhancements at the end of the session. Now, a quick look at the different question types in the GRE verbal section. There are three major question types: reading comprehension, sentence equivalence, and text completion. So one thing that you have to keep in mind is that almost half of the questions that you encounter in both the verbal sections in the GRE test will consist of reading comprehension questions. That is, you will have questions based on passages and you'll be answering them. All right. Now, I want you to take this quiz. How many sections are there in the GRE verbal reasoning, excluding the unscored one? You can type in your answer in the chat box. All right. Do we have enough answers, Sowmya?
Yes, we have enough answers out there, so we can go ahead.
Oh, great. So the answer is C. We just saw that there are two sections under GRE verbal reasoning. So what is an unscored section? In GRE, there are in total 6 sections as per the current pattern. The first section will be analytical writing, and you have 2 verbal sections and 2 quants section, along with an unscored section, which is used for research or experimental purposes. But we do not know whether the experimental or the unscored section will be verbal or quants. So it's important that you take all these sections seriously and attempt them. Okay. All right. Let's look at the let's look at one of the important question types in the GRE, reading comprehension. So like I already mentioned, in this question type, you'll be given passages and a number of questions, and you will be answering those questions based on the information that is provided in the passage. So you will have approximately 10 passages in the test, excluding the unscored section. And most of these passages will have one paragraph. You will also have 1 or 2 passages which will be several paragraphs long. Okay. And you have different question categories like primary purpose question, inference based question, tone of the passage or tone of the author, fill in the blanks question, strengthening or weakening the argument questions, and so on. We'll just look at a few question categories under reading comprehension. This is an example of a primary purpose question. So this is how the passage looks like, and this will be your question, and these are the options. So the strategy to solve almost all reading comprehension questions is that you read the passage first. Do not look at the options first, because looking at the options might mislead you and you might end up choosing the wrong option. So always read the passage first, comprehend what the passage is talking about, why it is written, and what it states. Then go to the question, guess the answer from the information that you have acquired from the passage, and then look at the options, eliminate the wrong options before arriving at the correct ones. So we'll be solving this question now. So the first step is to read the passage. Let's read this passage. Theorists are divided concerning the origin of the moon. Some hypothesize that the moon was formed in the same way as were the planets in the inner solar system, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Earth, from planet-forming materials in the pre-solar nebula. But unlike the cores of the inner planets, the moon's core contained little or no iron, while the typical planet-forming materials were quite rich in iron. Other theorists proposed that the moon was stripped out of the Earth's rocky mantle by the Earth's collision with another large celestial body after much of the Earth's iron fell to its core. One problem with this collision hypothesis is the question of how a satellite formed in this way could have settled into the nearly circular orbit that the moon has today. Fortunately, the collision hypothesis is testable. If it is true, the mantle rocks of the moon and Earth should be the same geochemically. So, the first step is that you should read every line carefully, like how we just did. Okay, and then note the for if you feel that any passage is difficult to comprehend, or if you're not familiar with the idea or concept that is talked about, you can save it for the last. But I would also suggest you to look at the introduction and the conclusion. That is the first few lines. The first one or two lines would give you the introduction, and the last one or two lines would give you the conclusion. If you look at the introduction and conclusion of the given passage, you might get an overall idea as to what the passage is talking about. Okay. So, in order to answer primary purpose question types, you have to answer two questions: what the passage is talking about and why it was written. All right. So, step 2 is to identify relevant information. So, we know that we're going to find the primary purpose of the passage. And so, let's look at the information that we need. So this is the first information that we have got. Theorists are theorists are divided concerning the origin of the moon. So the passage gives us talks about different theories that surround the origin of the moon. So there is one hypothesis which states that the moon was formed in the same way as the inner planets, and then there's other hypothesis or other theorists who propose that the moon was ripped out of the Earth's rocky mantle. So now we have the answer to what the passage is talking about. There are two theories surrounding the origin of the moon, and these theories contrast each other, which is why the theorists are divided on this particular subject, on the subject of the origin of the moon. Okay. Now, in step 3, we're going to eliminate the options based on the information that we have. Let's look at the first option. The primary purpose of the passage is to present two hypotheses concerning the origin of the moon. So this is the information that we jotted down from the passage, and this option is true according to the information we have here, but we should not finalize this as the correct option. Because we should eliminate the wrong options before deciding this as the correct one. So let's look at the other options as well. Let's put this on hold. This is true according to the passage, but let's just put this aside. The second option, discuss the strengths and weaknesses of the collision hypothesis concerning the origin of the moon. Not really. This is not the primary purpose of the passage. The passage does mention collision hypothesis, but that is not the primary purpose of the passage, and neither does it discuss the strengths and weaknesses. Third option, propose that hypothesis concerning the moon's origin to be tested. Not really. There isn't any hypothesis that is presented which concerns about the moon's origin. Argue that the moon could not have been formed out of the typical planet-forming materials of the pre-solar nebula. If you remember, when we read the passage, this is something that is actually true. This information is given in the passage, so this can be eliminated because this is not the primary purpose. Describe one reason why the moon's geochemical makeup should resemble that of the Earth. Again, this is not really the intention of the passage. So we know that this is the option which conveys the primary purpose of the passage. So the passage mainly talks about the two theories surrounding the origin of the moon. So we can eliminate all other options. This is how you attempt a reading comprehension primary purpose question type. You always read the passage first and then go read the question before you eliminate the options. Okay. All right. Now let's take one more quiz. How many reading comprehension questions will you get in each of the verbal sections of the GRE? You do not have options for this quiz. You can just go ahead and type in your answer in the chat box. Okay. I think we have enough responses. Let's look at the
Yes.
answer. Yeah. Let's look at the answer. So you will have around 10 questions per section. That is, this is not a fixed number, but according to the ETS website, you will have almost half of the section will consist of reading comprehension questions. Okay, let's look at one more reading comprehension question category, which is multiple answer question. So this is a question based on the same paragraph that we just read, and this is your question. So the first step is to find the keywords. So here is it's the same passage, and I'll show you the question once. So the question is, according to the passage, Mars and the Earth are similar in which of the following ways? So we're going to look for ways in which Mars and Earth is similar. So the first step is to find the keyword. We're going to look where Mars and Earth is located. So we know that this portion of the passage talks about Mars and Earth. We know that according to one hypothesis, the moon was formed in the same way as for the planets in the inner solar system. That is Mars, including planets like Mars and Earth, from planet-forming materials in the pre-solar nebula. What else do we know about Mars and Earth? We know that unlike the cores of the inner planets, the moon's core contains little or no iron, while the typical planet-forming materials were quite rich in iron. That is, a typical we know that the moon's core contains little or no iron, unlike the core of the inner planets, which means the moon's core has no iron, but the core of Mars and Earth has iron. So from this particular portion of the passage, we know that Mars and Earth are part of the inner solar system, and they were formed from planet-forming materials in the pre-solar nebula, and that their core contains iron. Now, the second step is to eliminate the options. This is the information that we just jotted down from the passage, and these are the options. So the first option states that the satellites were formed by collisions with other celestial bodies. This is not really true as far as Mars and Earth is concerned. So we can eliminate this option. Their core contains iron. Yes, this is true according to the passage. They were formed from the pre-solar nebula. Again, this is again true according to the passage. So for question types like these, it will be easier to narrow down to the correct option if you take notes, if you make notes of the important points. If you look at the question closely, and if you identify which clue words it has, and if you locate those clue words in the passage, it will be easier to narrow down to the correct option. This is how you attempt a multiple answer question. So just a few tips before we move ahead with the next question type. If you're unfamiliar with the passage, or if you're unfamiliar with the subject or the concept that is talked about in the passage, or if you feel that the passage is difficult, you can always save it for the last. Okay, you can move to the next passage, finish those questions, and then come back to the one that you saved. Always read and analyze the passage before you go ahead and solve the questions. Pay attention to clues based on what is asked in the question. So, for instance, here we are required to identify what is similar between Mars and Earth. So this is the clue word. Mars and Earth is a clue word. So according to the question, we narrowed down, we located the portion which talked about Mars and Earth. We noted down the important points, and then we eliminated the wrong options, and then identify the correct ones. So this is how you identify the clue words, locate them in the passage, and find the information that is needed. When you're reading the passage, make sure that you note the tone of the passage or the tone of the author. Is it neutral? Is the author taking a stance? Is the passage argumentative? Is it contrasting ideas, and so on? Okay. Just one read of the passage will give you an brief overview of or a brief answer to all these questions. Always read the questions and instructions very carefully and answer what is asked of you. Okay. The answers that you choose from the options should be supported by information that is given in the passage, and should not be from outside or prior knowledge that you already have about the particular concept or subject that is talked about in the passage. Okay. Let's move ahead to the next question type, which is text completion. So in this question type, you will use information that is given to select the correct word or correct words from the options to create a meaningful sentence or passage. So you have three types in text completion. You have text completion with one blank, text completion with two blanks, and text completion with three blanks. It's generally called as TC1, TC2, and TC3. There is no, this is very important. Keep in mind that there is no partial scoring. For instance, TC2 and TC3 questions, that is text completion questions with 2 blanks and 3 blanks. In those questions, even if you get 1 blank correct and if you get the other blanks wrong, you'll still get a 0. Only if you attempt, only if you get all the blanks correct, you will get the full score. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and look at a question. So this is what the question looks like. So the first step is to identify the key phrase. How do you identify the key phrase? Let's read the sentence. The labor union and the company's management, despite their long history of unfailingly acerbic disagreement on nearly every issue, have nevertheless reached an unexpectedly, albeit still tentative, agreement on next year's contract. So these are the keywords in this sentence, the keywords and key phrases in this sentence. So the first key phrase is that the labor union and the company's management have a long history of unfailingly acerbic disagreement. So let's suppose you do not know the meaning of this word acerbic here. What do? You look at the word that is nearest to the word acerbic. You have unfailingly and you have disagreement. We know the meaning of disagreement. We know the meaning of unfailingly. So generally, a disagreement cannot be sweet. Disagreements are always bitter. They're very sharp. They're really bad. Right? It has a negative connotation. So with prefixes or with even suffixes, you can try and identify the word connotation. Is it a negative word or is it a positive word? So here we know that the word is negative since you have the prefixes dis and un. So what is the sentence talking about? It states that the labor union and the company's management have a long history of sharp disagreements or bitter disagreements between them. But you have the word nevertheless here. Nevertheless means, so despite their history, something else has happened. And what is this? What is the event that has happened? And unexpectedly, still tentative agreement. They have reached an unexpected agreement on next year's contract, even though it is still tentative. So what is the information that we've gathered from this sentence? The labor union and the company's management have a history of sharp disagreement. What else do we know? And despite this history, nevertheless, despite this history, they have reached an unexpectedly tentative agreement. So despite that disagreement on almost everything, unexpectedly now they have reached an agreement on something. So step 2 is to find the best fit among the options. Now we have the information that we gathered from the passage. Now we look at the options, we identify the meaning of each option and then see which one would best fit in the blank. So the first word is swift. What is the meaning of swift? The word swift means something that is quick, something that is fast. Let's try and place the word swift in the blank. Despite this history, they have reached an unexpectedly swift tentative agreement. Correct. This seems to fit in the blank. This seems like the correct option because an an unexpected agreement is something that happens quickly, something that happens fast. You don't plan it out and you don't execute it. If it's executed, then that wouldn't be an unexpected agreement. Correct. So this seems like the correct option. Let's put this aside. Let's look at the other options and eliminate the wrong ones. Look at the word onerous. What does the word onerous mean? Onerous means something that is burdensome, something that requires effort. So this does not really fit in the given context here. The next word, hesitant. Hesitant means you're waiting to do something or you're proceeding with caution. This again does not fit in the context here because this doesn't really look like a hesitant decision. It's something unexpected. Something unexpected cannot be hesitant or reluctant. Reluctant again means being resistant or unwilling to take action. This does not fit in the context here. Look at the last word, conclusive. Conclusive means something that is decisive, something that is final, something that provides a conclusion or an end. So we know that this is not conclusive because you have the word tentative here. Okay. So we can eliminate the other options and we can select swift as the correct option. So always eliminate the other answer choices and you'll arrive at the correct one. Okay. And then you can use the keyword or the key phrase that we use, the word that we guessed, and see whether it matches with the answer choice. Okay, this is just an optional step. Now, one more quiz. How many text completion question types do we have in the verbal section? You can type in your answers in the chat box. Ramya, do we have enough answers?
Yes, we can go ahead.
All right, great. The answer is C. We have 3 text completion question types: text completion with 1 blank, text completion with 2 blanks, and text completion with 3 blanks. Now let's look at a text completion question with 2 blanks. This is the question. As always, the first step is to identify the keywords in the sentence. As Anita argued, this new code of conduct is laughable. Its principles are either a dash offering no wisdom but the obvious, or are so devoid of specific advice as to make almost any action dash. So, what do we understand from this given sentence? As Anita argues, a new code of conduct is being talked about. And what do we know about this new code of conduct? The new code of conduct is laughable. This is something that we know. Its principles are either, so 2 things are going to be mentioned, are either dash or something else. So the first point is it's either dash, which only states the obvious, or what's the other point? It is devoid of specificity. That is, it is devoid of specific advice, making any action dash. Now let's just list down the information that we know from the given sentence. So the new code of conduct is absurd or laughable. Next, the principles of the code are either dash offering only obvious advice, or lacking specificity, making any action dash. So this is nothing. This is just information that I told you from the sentence. Okay. So the next step is to find the best fit among the options. So since this is a TC2 question, there is a text completion question with 2 blanks, you'll be given two set of options for blank 1 and blank 2. Let's look at the first blank. The principles of the code are either dash offering only obvious advice. Let's look at the blank 1 options. The first option is corroborative. What is the meaning of corroborative? Corroborative means to confirm something or to strengthen something. That cannot be the correct option here. That really doesn't fit in the context. Look at the next word, labyrinth. Labyrinth means something that resembles a labyrinth. A labyrinthine means something that resembles a labyrinth. That is something that's confusing. A labyrinth is usually confusing. It baffles you the moment you see it. So it means something that's confusing or something that's baffling. Again, that wouldn't fit in the context here because something that's confusing cannot be obvious. The next word, platitudinous. The platitudinous means something that is cliched, that is something that almost everyone knows, something that is often quoted. Would that word fit in here? The principles of the code are either platitudinous, offering only obvious. The word obvious and platitudinous go together. They have similar meaning. So you can eliminate the first 2 options and arrive at the correct option. Now let's go to blank 2. It lacks specificity, making any action dash. Impartial means not being partial or biased. This really doesn't fit in the context here. It has nothing to do with specificity, so we can eliminate impartial. Unacceptable, it actually means the opposite. For example, if something or if a principle or if a rule lacks specificity, then anything that you do can be acceptable or justifiable. For instance, you have the traffic lights. The traffic, what are the rules of the traffic signal? Red signals stop, yellow means that you can get ready, and green signals you to go. So if you do not have any specific set of rules for the traffic signal, anything that you do would be acceptable because there is no specific rules stating that you shouldn't do this and you should do this. So any action of yours can be justifiable. You can use the same example here. If a rule or if a principle lacks specificity, then any action would become justifiable. So this is how you attempt a TC2 question. Again, this step is optional. You can use the key phrases, the words that we used for guessing the answers, and compare them with the options that we have narrowed down to. Now, let's look at a text completion question with 3 blanks. So the first step is to identify the key phrase or key phrases. Let's read the passage. There is no point in combing through the director's work for hints of ideological significance. It is unnecessary. And then you have a colon here. So this punctuation means that whatever that follows the colon will give you more explanation on whatever that is preceding the colon. That is, you have the phrase it is unnecessary, and then you have a colon, you have a phrase. So this phrase is going to be an explanation or additional explanation of the previous phrase. So it is unnecessary. His ideology, Marxist, anti-imperialist, aligned with the perceived interest of the powerless and the marginal, is the dash of his films. And then you have one more punctuation. Do you see the hyphen here? This is called the M dash. So anything that is within the M dash can be considered as additional information. So even if you don't understand terms like Marxist, anti-imperialist, and then whatever is mentioned within the M dash, you can just keep this aside if you do not know the meaning of these sentences, or if you're not able to comprehend what it actually means. Because the key phrase is that it is unnecessary. His ideology, you can just bracket this, is the dash of his films. The clarity and force of that ideology are considerable, but its dash sometimes bothers critics who often scold the director for lacking dash. So you know that the ideology has clarity and force. And then there's a contradictory word, but. You have the word but here. But its dash sometimes bothers critics who often scold the director for lacking something. So let's jot down information that we know from the given passage. His ideology is the dash of his films. What do we know about the ideology? What do we know about the director's ideology? From the passage, we know that the ideology is clear and forceful. Next, but the critics are bothered by his ideology for the same reason. If you read the sentence, you'll be able to identify this point. The clarity and force of that ideology are considerable, but its dash sometimes bothers critics. So the critics are bothered by his ideology for the same reason. The same reason being his ideology, which is clear and forceful. Next, the critics say the director lacks dash. So what do we know about the ideology, or what do we know about the critics being bothered? We know that the critics are being bothered by the ideology because it is clear and it is forceful. So if the ideology is clear and forceful, the director probably lacks the opposite. What is the opposite of clear and forceful? The opposite of clear, or the opposite of direct, is being subtle. The opposite of forceful is delicate. Now, let's look at the options and see which one would fit in. Let's look at the set of options for blank one. You have the word hidden focus. Let's try and place this word. His ideology is the hidden focus of his films. Now, this actually contradicts the information that is given. We know that the ideology is clear and forceful. Something clear and forceful cannot be a hidden focus. The next option, chief impetus. Impetus means something that stimulates, a force that impels. This actually fits in the context. The ideology is clear and forceful, and it is almost like a stimulator here. So we can keep this aside, and we can eliminate before eliminating the other options. Look at the next option, murky lesson. What does the word murky mean? Murky means something that is cloudy, something that is hard to see through. So again, this does not fit in the context here because the ideology is pretty clear. So the first and the last option can be eliminated, and chief impetus is the correct option. Now, the second blank. The critics are bothered by his ideology for the same reason. That is, the critics are bothered because the ideology is clear and forceful. What do we have in the set of options? We have bluntness. What does the word bluntness means? When you're being blunt, it means you're being very direct or very abrupt in conveying something. So this actually fits in the context. The director's ideology is forceful, so it's very blunt. So let's keep this aside. Obscurity, when something is obscure, it means that something is difficult to understand or difficult to comprehend. No, this conveys the opposite, so we can eliminate obscurity. Feebleness, the word feebleness means something that lacks that is lacking force in action or expression. No, we know that the ideology is forceful, so this again conveys the opposite. So the correct option is bluntness. We can eliminate the other two options. So the set of options for blank 3, lucidity. Lucidity. The word lucidity means something that is clear or something that is easily understandable. But we are looking for something that the director lacks. We already know that the director is pretty clear and forceful. We're going to identify something that the director is lacking. So this is the opposite of what we are looking for. We can eliminate lucidity. Subtlety, we already have the clue here. We already know that the director lacks subtlety because his ideologies are forceful. So let's keep this aside let's look at the next option, courage. Again, courage does not fit in the context here. So we can eliminate courage as well. The correct option is subtlety. Okay. So as always, this is an optional step. You can use the key phrases or the words that we use to guess and then relate it with the options that we chose and see whether it fits in or not. So a few tips regarding text completion questions is that you need to have a wide range of, you need to know a wide range of vocabulary in order to answer these questions. The small tips that I gave you, that is looking at the prefix or suffix if you do not know the meaning of a word, looking at the nearest word to understand the meaning. All these will be of some help to, only to some extent. You need to know a wide range of vocabulary to answer all these questions. And you can always read the passage or read the given sentence and get an overall idea of what it is talking about first. And then after you have selected the answer choices, place them in the respective blanks like we have done here, and see whether it makes whether the sentence as a whole makes sense logically, and if it is grammatically correct or not. All right. Okay. Let's solve another quiz. The best way to solve text completion questions is to choose a combination of options that seems most appealing. You can type in your answers in the chat box. Okay. Ramya, do we have enough answers?
Yes, we do have.
Okay. Okay. So the answer is false. Why is this? Because as far as TC2, that is text completion question with 2 blanks or 3 blanks is concerned, the choices function independently. That is, the correct answer of 1 blank does not determine the correct answer of the other remaining blanks. Okay. The options, the answer choices need not really have any connection between each other. All these choices function independently. So you cannot choose the combination of options that seems most appealing. One more thing that you have to remember regarding vocabulary is that when you learn a new vocabulary, when you learn a new word, you should always ensure that you learn it in different contexts, because the meaning of a word changes with different contexts. So it's very important that you always learn the meaning of words in context. Don't just memorize, because the meaning of a word could vary with context. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and look at the next question type, sentence equivalence. So in this question type, you choose 2 options, which when you place in the blank should give similar meaning. Similar to TC1, TC2 and TC3 questions, similar to TC2 and TC3 questions, you do not have partial scoring here. That is, you're going to choose 2 options, and if you just get one of those options correct, you'll still get a 0. You have to get both the options correct in order to get the full score for the question. Okay, so there is no partial scoring. Read the sentence, understand what it conveys, and then go ahead and eliminate the wrong options. Okay, the options that you're going to choose, the 2 options that you're going to choose, need not always be synonyms necessarily, but they could be closely related. For instance, let us look at this question. So the first step is to identify the key phrases or keywords. There has been a tendency among art historians not so much to revise as to eliminate the concept of the Renaissance, to dash not only its uniqueness, but its very existence. Again, you have an M dash here, something like a hyphen. So like I told you, this means that whatever follows the M dash is going to consist of additional information. So we know that there has been a tendency among art historians to eliminate the concept of Renaissance, and then you have an M dash and something else. So whatever follows the M dash is going to give you more clarity on what is talked about earlier. So what do we know from this given sentence? We know that there's a tendency among art historians to eliminate the concept of Renaissance. And what else do we know? We know that from the given sentence, you can ask this question. If art historians eliminate the concept of Renaissance, what would be their take, or what would be their stance on its existence? So these are the two things that we have from the given sentence. Now let's go ahead to step 2. We're going to find the best fit among the options. Okay. So now, this is the question that concerns us. If art historians eliminate the concept of Renaissance, what would be their position on its existence? Would the art historian explain its existence? Not really. They want to eliminate the concept of Renaissance. So there's no way that they're going to explain its existence. So we can eliminate the first option. Will they question its existence? This seems like a correct option, because if you want to eliminate something, you'll question its whole existence in the first place. Why is this even existing? That would be the first question if you want to eliminate a concept. So let's put this aside. Look at the next option, criticize. Criticize, on the first look, it would seem like a pretty close option, something close to question. But if you want to criticize something, you should actually consider its existence to be valid. For instance, we know that the art historians want to eliminate the whole concept of Renaissance, because they want to question its whole existence. So when you're questioning something, when you're questioning the existence of something, and when you want to eliminate the whole concept, you cannot criticize the same thing. Attribute refers to a characteristic or a quality of something. It doesn't really fit in the context here. Contest here refers to it can be used in places like competition, debate, or something that is contradictory. You contest for something. It's like here in this case, the art historians are contesting against the concept of Renaissance. They're contesting against its existence. So this also seems like a close option. Let's put this on hold. Extol means to praise something. So this does not fit in the concept here. So we can eliminate explain, and we know that question and contest are the best fit among the given options. Similar to the other TC questions, you just look for the keywords or key phrases and then see whether they're similar to the options that we have narrowed down to. A few tips regarding sentence equivalence questions. After you select the correct options, place them in the blank and see whether the sentence gives proper meaning and whether it is logical or not. Okay. All right. One more quiz. A sentence equivalence question has dash blank or blanks that is to be filled with dash correct answer or answers out of dash options. This is just a fill in the blank question. You can type in your answers in the chat box. Ramya, do we have enough answers?
Yes, we do have. We can proceed.
Okay, great. The answer is a sentence equivalence question has one blank in which two correct answers or two correct options should be filled in out of 6 given options. Okay, the blank you're going to have one blank. You won't have two blanks. It's just that in that one blank you're going to take two options that are closer in meaning to each other and fill in the blank. Okay, now we're going to look at one more question category under reading comprehension, which is critical reasoning. This is categorized under reading comprehension, but it is quite different from the reading comprehension question style. That is, you'll have a short passage and one question based on the passage, unlike the reading comprehension passages where you'll have to answer a number of questions based on one passage. Here you'll be answering just one question based on the given passage. So the first step is to divide divide the sentence. If the sentence is quite huge, you can divide it into smaller chunks and comprehend, that is, understand its meaning. So we have two sentences in the given passage. So the first sentence: the painter Peter Brandon never dated his works, and the chronology is only now beginning to take shape in the critical literature. A recent dating of a Brandon self-portrait to 1930 is surely wrong. Conclusion: Brandon was 63 years old in 1930, yet the painting shows a young dark-haired man, obviously Brandon, but clearly not a man of 63. Now let's look at the keywords. We know that a recent dating of a Brandon self-portrait. Who's Brandon? We know that he's a painter. So a recent dating of a Brandon self-portrait to 1930 is surely wrong. So the dating of a recent Brandon the dating of a Brandon self-portrait is wrong. And why is it wrong? Because he was 63 years old in the 1930s, but the painting shows a young dark-haired man. So it cannot obviously be a man of 63. That is, even though it is Brandon in the self-portrait, it is clearly not a man of 63. So what do we know from all these? What is the question that arises with the information that we have from the sentence? If Brandon was 63 years old in 1930, how could the self-portrait in which he is much younger be dated to 1930? And this is why the conclusion says that the dating is wrong. What else do we know? The author assumes that Brandon could have painted himself as he was at 63 and not as how he looked when he was younger. What does the conclusion say here? What is the final line of the passage? Brandon was 63 years old in 1930, yet the painting shows a young man. Obviously Brandon, but clearly not a man of 63. So this is what is rephrased and written here. What is the next step? So the next step is to eliminate the options. This is the first option. There is no securely dated self-portrait of Brandon that he painted when he was significantly younger than 63. So the question asks you to support a claim, which could the question asks you to select an option which supports the author's conclusion. Okay, let's look at this option. There is no, what do we know about the author's conclusion or the author's assumption? The author assumes that Brandon could have only painted himself as he was at 63 and not as how he looked when he was younger. So a self-portrait means something that you paint yourself. So he can only paint himself as 63 if it was in the year 1930 and not as someone who was much younger. So the first option states that there is no securely dated self-portrait of Brandon that he painted when he was significantly younger than 63. This really does not support the author's assumption. We can eliminate option A. In refraining from dating his works, Brandon intended to steer critical discussion of them away from considerations of chronology. Again, chronology or intending to steer away from critical discussions has nothing to do with the author's assumption concerning his self-portrait in 1930. So we can eliminate the second statement as well. Until recently, there was very critical literature on the works of Brandon. Again, this is not concerned with the self-portrait that is being discussed about. Brandon at age 63 would not have portrayed himself in a painting as he had looked when he was a young man. So this seems like supporting the assumption or the conclusion of the author. It states that Brandon, when he was age 63, could not have portrayed himself in a painting as someone who looked much younger. So let's keep this aside. The last statement: Brandon painted several self-portraits that showed himself as a man past the age of 60. So this directly contradicts the author's assumption. This, in fact, supports the initial statement. So we can eliminate the last option. So from the given options, we know that this statement is the best fit. So this is how you choose you narrow down and choose the correct option. Okay. All right. Let's look at the enhancements in the GRE test. So from being a test which takes around 3 hours or 3 hours 45 minutes or approximately 4 hours to complete, the shorter GRE test will take only under 2 hours to for you to finish. And you have two analytical tasks in the current pattern. You have analyze an argument and analyze an issue task in the analytical writing section in the current pattern. But in the shorter GRE test, the analyze an argument task is eliminated. You'll only have analyze an issue task. And this is the new pattern. So in the verbal reasoning section, you'll have two sections, but you'll only have 27 questions in total. Right off in the current pattern, we have 20 questions in each section. But in the new pattern, you'll only have 27 questions in total. And the estimated duration is set to be 41 minutes. And all these changes will be implemented starting September 22nd, 2023. Okay. Ramya, you can take over.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sowmya. And quickly, as we are moving towards, we have one small poll for students today, and here the poll goes. So the poll says, how would you like to prepare for the GRE test? Self-preparation, in-person live class, or online course with a structured, personalized study plan? So you could quickly share your vote. Great. So I think we can end the poll now and see the results. Okay. Majority of you are looking for online courses with a structured, personalized plan. That's really amazing to see. And moving forward, we have another small poll out here. So the poll goes, how confident do you feel on the GRE verbal section after this amazing session out there? Very confident, not very confident, somewhat confident, not confident at all. Okay. I think it's running between somewhat confident and not very confident. Okay. Great. So most of you are somewhat confident, but not very much. And I believe you are looking for some kind of guidance out there. And I think we can end the poll now. Great, thank you. So I see a lot of you are somewhat confident, but I believe you would be looking for some assistance out there. And that is how we would like to talk a little bit on how Galvanize can help you achieve your dream score for your GRE verbal section. As I earlier mentioned, that we do have, mobile applications which are handy, but in case you are looking for some more guidance with respect to a more personalized plan and more, proper practice questions and everything, then you can take a look at the online courses that we have for GRE, IELTS and TOEFL out there. And yes, of course, the admission counseling is also where you could get guidance from experts for your preparations out there. Now, what are the advantages of being with Galvanize for your test preparation journey? First and foremost is the personalized study plan. As I saw in the poll that a lot of you are looking for an online portal with a personalized approach, and this is what you will be gaining at the Galvanize portal as well. So you'll be having a personalized study plan. You will have unlimited ask an expert option out there with in-depth analysis and feedback for the test preparations that you would be doing. And yes, of course, a lot of practice questions and full and mock test as well. And some of the benefits that we would like to share here is number one, the updated test pattern. Second, at the most affordable rate that you will be learning these courses, and easy way of learning. At Galvanize, we believe that preparing for this exam should not be, a very tedious task, but yes, of course, easy way so that you can easily clear this exam without any difficulties out there with expert guidance, not to forget. A lot of you who are looking for some guidance with respect to admission counseling as well, we would like to say that it's a complete online process. But here what happens is onboarding, we have a profile evaluation call with the students to understand their interest, their need, their profile. And based on that, we will be helping them with the university shortlisting followed by documentation process for SOP, LOR, resume building, moving towards visa, where we help you understand, what are the documents required for visa, how to approach for the visa, and, hold some mock videos for you so that you are, much comfortable when it comes to the actual day of visa. And not to forget, Galvanize is always there at your back for financing and pre-departure activities, where we help you connect with the right loan providers, help you arrange travel tickets, accommodation, medicine, SIM card, and many more such activities out there. Now, this is something which I mentioned earlier, and I would freeze my screen here for a couple of minutes so that you could make a note of the amazing offer that we have for you. We have GRE Crash Course at 7,000. The link goes as www.gxprep.com/45, and you could quickly make use of this particular offer here. And what you will be getting is you will be getting a complete online GRE prep with a personalized touch out there, personalized study plan, unlimited ask and expert option, a mock test, extensive practice questions in this course. So I would truly say that if you would like to crack your GRE exam with your dream score, do not waste this chance. Do make a note of the score and the link so that you could avail the course at the great offer out there. And in case you are interested in a little bit more, being with Galvanize, right from the test preparation to the profile, to the admission counseling part, I would suggest please, do register yourself for the profile evaluation, which generally is a part of the admission process, right? You just saw that, once a student enrolls, only then we do the profile evaluation. But today, for today's attendees, we would like to give them a free profile evaluation where you just sign up at gxprep.com/profile and you enroll with us. You fill in a form. You can speak to our experts out there, understand your profile in more detail, and then I believe that will be a more guidance for you. So this is what something we have for today's special attendees. And also, I would like to, quickly tell who the winner is. And the winner for the quiz that we had is Neeraj and Saugat. So these two students have been consistent and have been giving the right answers out there. So we will get in touch with Neeraj and Saugat for the offer that we have for you, wherein you can avail the GRE registration fees with less, off of $50 out there. So now we can move towards the Q&A session. So if you have any questions with respect to the verbal section, please mention in the chat box so that our host could address them. I again see a student has requested for the profile evaluation. If it is paid, not at all. For today's attendees, it is free. So please do register for this link. I have shared the link in the chat box. Do fill in the form so that we can get in touch with you and help you in a more personalized way. Also, once again, I would like to announce that the winner for the quiz that we had conducted during the webinar are Saugat, RC, and Neeraj Pandit. Amazing guys for being so up to date and answering the questions on time. So we will surely get in touch with you for the next steps that's involved with availing the offer that we have for you. So now again, I'm announcing that if you have any question, please get in touch with us or mention in the chat box. So we have a student who's asked, what is profile evaluation about? Basically, profile evaluation, we get in touch with you. We would like to understand what your doubts are, your profile, your requirements, your interest, in case you are applying to any of the, universities abroad for your master's, doctorate degrees out there. So this generally happens in the admission counseling part, where once the profile evaluation is done, we help them with university shortlisting. But today it's exclusively free. So if you would like to speak to our expert and understand what kind of, what's next steps you can take in your journey of higher education, please get in touch with us. We will help you for sure. Once again, I would like to announce that if you have any questions about the session for the verbal, please do mention on the chat box, and we have a couple of last 5 minutes more for the session, so we can address them. This is also our contact details in case you would like to get in touch with us and know more about how Galvanize can help you in your journey of higher education. That can be either for the test preparation part, that is for GRE, SAT, TOEFL, IELTS, or in case you would like to get in touch with us for admission counseling as well. These are the contact details. Feel free to get in touch with us. I would like to freeze my screen here for some time so that you could make a note of the contact details and get in touch with us so that we can help you in the best possible way. So I believe there are no more questions from students' end, which means that the session has been quite informative, and we believe so. And I would like to thank Sowmya for joining us today and helping us understand what are the various types of questions that you might land up in your GRE verbal section. Thank you so much, Sowmya, for joining us today. And a big thank you to all the students who have participated in today's session. We believe that the session was quite informative, and we are coming up with many more such webinars for students who are aiming for higher education abroad, and would request you to get in touch with us to know more about what are the upcoming webinars that we have for you. And once again, a big thank you to all of you. Thank you, Sowmya, for joining us today. Would you like to say some last words to the students?
Not really. I think I can end it here.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.